Q Madpy, a Portland man who makes it a point to pay his respects to fallen soldiers and Marines. In fact, he goes way beyond that. KOIN News 6 reporter Tim Maestas has the story.
When you got tears in the eyes, sometimes it's really hard to focus.
On sad days like this, you will find Q Madpy clicking away in the distance, trying to get the best picture.
Sometimes you cry?
Yeah.
Hard work for a man who describes himself as an underemployed computer geek, a Cold War Army veteran with a mission to preserve the memories of America's fallen heroes.
Is there anybody else that you know of that's doing the same thing?
Nope.
This is purely out of your heart?
Yep.
This is Q's website, IraqWarHeroes.com. Here you'll find the name of every American and coalition soldier killed in Iraq, and pictures from the funerals of dozens of soldiers from Oregon and Washington. The funeral of Army Specialist Edwin Roothouse is his latest project.
I got a hold of the family spokesperson, and they said it was okay for me to take some pictures.
Q has been to 29 military funerals so far here in the Northwest, all of them for men he never knew. For men he will always respect.
Because I don't want them forgotten. You know, there have been so many deaths, people are already forgetting.
In Portland, Tim Maestas, KOIN News 6.
Q Madpy runs several other websites beside IraqWarHeroes.com. He honors soldiers and Marines who died in Afghanistan, Korea, and even Vietnam.
Brian, we are live in Terrace Heights. I can tell you that the protesters from the Westboro Baptist Church packed up just about 5 minutes ago. They were across the street, maybe about a half dozen of them, packed up, and that was fine with the supporters on the other side of the street. People cheering as soon as those protesters started to pack up their signs and then drive away. These supporters actually even broke out in a chorus of God Bless America. I can tell you that the supporters grossly, vastly outnumbered the protesters. There are now hundreds of people out here supporting the troops and supporting the family of Army Sergeant First Class Larry Morrison. One particular supporter that I wanted to share with you today was a guy that I've seen at several of the funerals around the valley here. He's been to, I think, all 6 here in the valley, and he says that he's been to over 50 along the West Coast. He's a photographer who wants to take pictures as sort of his tribute to the troops and their family.
Up today, I mean, this is, you know, all 50 that I've gone to, I have not seen this, and it's just got my blood boiling. I just stopped pacing because I just wanted to express myself. But I got to keep my cool. They would be very angry. You know, I mean, come on, at least have some respect for the family. I don't care what you think about the military. You show some respect for the family and the deceased. They don't even have that. That's sad. And they call themselves a church.
Back live now in Terrace Heights. That's the scene here. Supporters still sticking around for this funeral that's supposed to get underway in about 15 minutes inside the chapel at Keith and Keith Funeral Home here in Terrace Heights before another separate private graveside service this afternoon. Supporters sticking around. The protesters have taken off. That's the scene here in Terrace Heights. Brian, back to you in the studio.
A Portland man is working to make sure no fallen soldier is forgotten.
He set up a website that pays tribute to men and women killed in combat in both Iraq and Afghanistan. And as King 5's Bernard Choi shows us, a local business stepped in to give his effort a much-needed boost.
Outside Fort Lewis, symbols remind you of the toll the ongoing wars have taken on our community, our country. But sadly, locals say many people pay little attention.
It was like, oh, another soldier, another day. No big deal.
Now, a new billboard advertising an obscure website aims to change that. Go to IraqWarHeroes.org and you will find the names of almost every soldier, Marine, sailor, airman who has died in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. There are more than 3,930 names, like Corporal Stephen Rintamaki of Linwood, Petty Officer Regina Clark of Centralia, and Sergeant Tracy Melvin of Seattle. For each, there's a profile with pictures, a brief bio, and an account of what happened. It's a tremendous undertaking, and all of it is done by one man.
Why go through all this trouble?
Because they're worth it. Why did they put their lives out there for us?
Hugh Matpick, an Army veteran, even drives up and down the Northwest to attend military funerals, taking pictures for the site. But what you won't find on the website is politics.
They don't pick the wars, the locations, and things like that. You know, so whatever your politics are, you need to put that aside. That's not why these guys died.
On one of his trips through our state, Hugh stopped off here at the Galloping Gertie's restaurant, an institution outside Fort Lewis. Hugh dropped off his card. The owner saw it and thought, more people need to see this.
I thought, perfect. Don't let the memory of them drift away, I think is what it says. I thought, what a great billboard.
Susan Rothwell had the billboard put up and says she will pay for it for the foreseeable future, which is great for Hugh Matpick because he's been doing all of this with his own money.
We need to treat the first man that went down the same as the last man. And, you know, I've made this commitment 4 years ago, and I'm going to try and stick to it as best as I can.
Near Fort Lewis, Bernard Choi, King 5 News.
And that Portland man says he dedicates up to 9 hours each day to his website. If you want to check it out, we've linked it to our website. Just go to nwcn.com and click on news links.
Amazing.
Yeah. A lot of work. For him. It's great.
How are we doing weather-wise?
I run a website, a tribute site to all the men and women that served in Iraq and Afghanistan and have since deceased. And along with doing that, I've also been traveling the greater Northwest and even further than that in times and photograph for free for the families all the memorial services and also the homecomings of our soldiers. Because, you know, when the family is grieving and that, they don't see what's going on around them. And this is one of my ways to say thanks for that soldiers or that airman service to our country. But yes, most of the families appreciate it. I think I've only had one family say they didn't want anybody taking pictures, and I've had some families that have limited me to certain pictures, but most of them have been very appreciative because, you know, the pictures I take that include family, they don't get posted on my tribute page. I just post some of the other pictures there so other people can share in this, and they get all the personal pictures. I don't give them to anybody. The person that normally receives the flag is the one that gets the pictures, and once they get them, they can do whatever they want to with them.
Earlier, you still needed to do the finally catch up with Matthew Heffelfinger's family this morning.
They were fine with that, so.
Excellent.
You know, and there was only one restriction that's within the church sanctuary, and that's because it's an LDS church, and most of them have that rule, no cameras inside. So, and, you know, I honor whatever wishes families have. I'm here to help them.
Alexis, hours from now, Pioneer Courthouse Square will be filled with people who come to honor the servicemen and women from Washington and Oregon who've lost their lives in Afghanistan and Iraq. In honor of them, 272 names will be read out loud during a candlelight vigil.
And this is to help remind people of the cost of war and that there are men and women out there dying for this country, dying for our freedom. And you know, a lot of people forget we're still at war.
In addition to supporting our troops, Hugh Matpick says people need to also remember to support the families of those who don't make it back home. Now, if you've lost a family member or a friend during this war, or you know someone who has, tell them about tonight's event. The candlelight vigil starts at 7:30. Reporting for you live from downtown Portland, Araxia Karapetian, KOIN News Now.
Araxia, thank you.
Well, Alexis, new this morning at
And we want to introduce you to a man who's made it his mission to preserve the memories of our fallen soldiers. K2 photojournalist Chelsea Sherrier talked with a photographer who spent the past 10 years healing wounds.
I get the satisfaction of reminding people of the men and women that serve this country and die for this country. For about 10 years now, I've been going to as many funerals as I can get to, and I photograph them free for the families so they can see all the things that they missed during a time of grief. I don't just snap away a bunch of pictures and then hand them over. No, I usually overshoot. I cut out what it is that I'm after. And I've decided, you know, I can do this. I can make a dedication and stick with it and make sure that each one of them gets recognized out there. I don't think there's another service out there like this. Most families are very appreciative to what I do. Sometimes they don't want to see him now, so I'll hear from him maybe a year or two later. Thank you all for your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
What I get out of it is a satisfaction that I'm out there honoring our heroes.
Just minutes away.
He is part of the greatest generation. A World War II veteran in his final days at a Salem hospital has one wish: to be buried in his U.S. Marine Corps uniform.
But family members recently discovered that uniform was badly damaged by mice. Our Amy Frazier now shows us how the community is stepping up to honor him with a brand new uniform.
Family members tell me they are so grateful to have this replacement Marines uniform. We were there today as it was presented to the veteran's son.
And I hope that this brings you some measure of pride and peace.
For David Dunleavy and his family, this U.S. Marine Corps uniform means the world.
Kind of lost for words.
His father, Claire Dunleavy, served our country with distinction for decades. The World War II veteran spent 30 years in the Marines and also served in the Army National Guard. The 93-year-old is now in hospice care at Salem Hospital, where, despite being sick, he has charmed the staff.
The nurses really like him here. Yeah. He asked one nurse if she wanted to dance.
At a time when doctors now say Dunleavy may have less than a week to live.
Well, I was told that he wanted to be buried in his uniform.
Photographer Q Madpay heard through a friend that the military uniform Dunleavy has saved all these years is in bad shape from mice.
And that he lives out on a farm and his uniform got eaten up.
Q Madpay has made it his mission to honor our veterans and runs a website called ourwarheroes.org.
And I decided I'm going to make sure to get him a uniform.
So he reached out to the community using social media, and the community responded.
These are his service medals, his good conduct medal, Asiatic and Pacific Theater.
Columbia River Young Marines provided a replacement uniform.
What you have here is his pistol badge, as well as his rifleman badge.
Others helped with the military decoration.
It's just, to me, it's an amazing thing, and the fact that he gave 30 years of his life to the Marine Corps is outstanding.
Dunleavy's face lit up when the replacement uniform was brought to his hospital room. A veteran honored and thanked for his service.
I'm grateful that I was able to do that for this gentleman. You know, I can't help them all, but if every one of us can help one or two, you know, imagine.
In Salem, Amy Frazier, KOIN 6 News.
So great when you see communities stepping up for something like this. And if Claire's watching, we just want to say thank you for your service.
Last month, we told you about a World War II veteran who needed a Marine uniform to be buried in. Claire Dunleavy spent 30 years with the Marines. Well, now we've learned he died earlier this week, and his funeral was today. Over the years, mice had destroyed his old uniform, so one man, this man right here, took it upon himself to get a new uniform and put his medals on it.
It makes me feel proud, you know. Yeah, I was really glad that people came together and helped me do this for a dying vet, you know. With this kind of commitment to our country, yeah, that was just a very small effort.
Mr. Dunleavy was laid to rest in Salem.